The schedule has been released. The bye week bros are out in full force. Aren't you worried about your week 9 buys? But more importantly, the week 17 game stack bros are here. It's time to shine. Best ball breakfast. Let's do it.
Bro, I'm telling you, hop in these drafts when these idiot streamers are trying to draft and talk to the chat at the same time. It's so plus EV, bro.
Oh no, I think I accidentally just took Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. What do we call that? A no-no.
No way, you don't have to set your lineup. That's incredible. And recently eclipsed 23%, and I'd much prefer it to be in the more 21 to 22% range.
I'm going to try to not spill today because last time I did not like getting coffee everywhere. There we go. I still kind of spilled. This is impossible. The things I do for the coffee bit for you guys, spilling all over myself. Why is it so hard to pour coffee into a mic? The ASMR bros get their fix. Peter gets his coffee, and we can be off to the races. How are we doing? Silas's meeting got canceled. Welcome, Silas. What do we got? Vamo a la best ball breakfast. Vamo a la desayuno. Best bowls. Let's see here. Good morning, FF Doom. 10 of 10 pour. I'll take it. Wow. I thought I was going to get knocked for some spillage. Around here is maybe an 8 of 10 pour, but if it was a 10 of 10 for you guys, I'll take it. Oh yeah, you took it back. You should take it back. How are we doing? GM Ivan, GM Nick, just make this an ASMR channel. We should. Where was I doing ASMR? Oh, I was hosting a Top Shot stream with Mike Zakarian. What was it? A week or two ago. And one of the usernames had ASMR in it, and we did like 5 minutes in total whispering voices. So yeah, always love going back to the ASMR bit. Well, how we doing, Derek, GM, Neil? We are back with the early morning streams. I miss these because I basically have a stretch where I do them throughout the best ball season, and then during the NFL season, I use this time slot to review my GPP lineups. So I like this 10 a.m. Monday morning slot, gets the week off to a good start here. So we will keep these rolling on Best Ball Mania. I was thinking through how everyone else, I know all you GTO bros are barbelling your Best Ball Mania drafts. You're going to do 75 in the first 3 weeks, and you're going to do 75 in the last 3 weeks. Well, we do a modified barbell strategy over here that accounts for content. And that means we'll be drafting a Best Ball Mania team every single week throughout the summer. I guess it could still be a barbell, right? If someone made a graph of my 50 drafts here, and then the bar itself is the Monday morning drafts, and then I do a bunch at the end here. Yes, we are going to be drafting a Best Ball Mania team on Splash Play. Spags has tasted the forbidden Best Ball Mania streamer fruit, and now he can't stop doing it. So yeah, we will be drafting Best Ball Mania drafts here on Splash Play for the foreseeable future as well. Good morning, Ben. Tube Socks coming in hot. I have a disturbing amount of Brevin Jordan in my crappy tight end drafts. I'm the opposite. I actually like Brevin Jordan. I just have not been doing a ton of 3 tight end builds. I've actually been needing to force myself into some of those because I've been doing elite 2 tight end builds and even pushing it a little bit. I think last night I did a draft where I took Schultz and maybe it was Cole Kmet and just rocked the 2 there. So that's how we're doing. All right. Enough of the pageantry. Let's get into what we are all here to do, which is draft a Best Ball Mania 3 team on Underdog Fantasy. For those of you living under a rock or a skull here, it is, of course, 2 million up top, 1 million to second, 1 million to the regular season first place finisher. We'll be chasing this all summer. Looks like about 5 or 6 spots left here that you guys will fill quickly. And then we will be off to the races. My first streamed draft, my first solo stream draft with the schedule. We did one on Splash Play on Friday. I've been hopping in some live drafts. Oh my goodness. The Influencer 101. You love to see it. You love to see it. I save all of my 101s for live streams. This is what happens. This is what happened. I'm in a weird spot where I basically have 0 Christian McCaffrey so far. I need to change that, obviously. I've been taking, JT at 101. On ship chasing, we took Cooper Kupp 101 because of the wide receiver avalanche that was going to come in that specific draft room. And then at, 1, 2, and 1, 3, I have been liking to take one of the receivers, Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. So I just haven't ended up with a ton of McCaffrey. Maybe we'll take McCaffrey here today, but you only get so many 101s. Let's just go with the tried and true Jonathan Taylor. And we'll just start this out as the Lord intended. I'll have plenty of time to get my my Christian McCaffrey shares here. Oh, sorry, guys. You guys ended up in... we always have the Bizarro Best Ball Breakfast stream. All the same glory of a morning best ball draft, just without the clout. Just without the near hundreds of people watching. Efu got pick 12 again. I do run pretty pure on stream slots. It's funny because I did like, I don't know, 3 or 4 live drafts over the weekend, and all of them were more the back half, lots of 8, 9, 10, 11. And then boom, the second we turn on the bright lights, the best ball gods hand Petey an influencer 101. And Brendan is pissed. Absolutely pissed. Sorry for you guys trying to hop into these drafts. You'll have another crack at it today at 2:30 on Splash Play. And that's the one you really want to get in on because that's on Spags' account. And that's where the real funky stuff happens. Oh, yeah, here you go. FF Doom says, now you can scoop up Nyheim Hines late to nail the robust cuck strat. This is really gaining a lot of stream. Jonathan had reminded me in the ship chasing Discord this morning that I literally have a line about that in this opening. Accidentally drafted Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. What do we call that? That's a no-no. But apparently it's not a no-no anymore. Around the best ball cognoscenti water cooler, it is now the in vogue trend, the gal brain way to get unique. I understand the thesis behind it, but it's not for me. Maybe this is just too smooth brain of me, but it's like I have to beat out 450,000 people. I only get 18 bullets in a draft to do it. I like to draft as if I'm right. And I want to use each one of those bullets to try to nail a specific situation, or in this case, a specific backfield. So I bid adieu to all the Galbrain Hancock bros. I wish you the best of luck. May all of your Christian McCaffrey and Deontay Foreman teams flourish. May Christian McCaffrey crush weeks 1 through 14, and then Deontay Foreman take over and crush weeks through 15 through 17. Best of luck to all of you. If Drew Lock is taken in this draft, can you please roll the clip? So the way StreamYard works, you load up the videos within the specific themes. I don't believe I have uploaded the Drew Lock clip in here. We'll get to it on Splash Play. I promise. I promise we'll get to it. Thank you, Graham. Excellent screen size. It's crazy how easy it is, right? To get that to be up on the screen. All right. Let's see what we're working with here at this 2-3 turn. Oh, baby. Are we going to go Hyperfragile today? It looks like we might be headed toward a little Hyperfragile fun today. All right, let's do this. We're going to grab Kamara. And because my beloved Indianapolis Colts play the New York Giants in week 17, can you tell yourself a story right now? Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, ping-ponging back and forth, touchdown after touchdown, dueling. Peter Overzet rocking a hyper-fragile, high testosterone draft. I dropped my high T pills in my coffee this morning. We are ready to roll with 3 running backs. Dun, 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 dun. I believe that might be my first Kamara share as well this year. Yeah, I mean, Silas, this is the interesting part of that discussion too. He says, "What about Gus and Dobbins?" And I think you can definitely there are backfields, right? In the type of profiles, what McKissick and Antonio Gibson would be an example. Ramondre. Well, I guess if Ramondre's pass work expands, maybe that doesn't work. But say Damian Harris and James White. I think there are some exceptions in like a zero RB build where you are needing some of that just high floor pass production. I could more see it last year. I know last year I had one draft on Best Ball Mania where I took both Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, both super late. I will say I don't ever want to be in the habit of handcucking. If I do, the Dos Equis, man, I don't always handcuck, but when I do, I mean, it has to be super cheap backs. I just think once you've spent, a top, 10 round pick on a guy, you just want to draft as if that guy smashes. From now on, what I'm always going to say is when people try to criticize my picks, Nick says Saquon hasn't played week 17 since 2016. I'm just going to say, well, I'm going to draft as if I'm right. And in this reality, Saquon scores 400 points in week 17. That's how you can get out of any player criticism take. Well, in my version of this draft, Saquon scores 1,000,000 points in week 17. See? Josh says might be the earliest I've seen Josh Allen. I've seen this happening a decent bit because it's a weird spot, right? Where the Stephon Diggs owner knows they're not getting Josh Allen in the late third, more than likely. And so they've been pouncing on him in the early second. Feels rich for my blood. And we know it's not going to be unique, right? Because we've seen a lot of Diggs owners getting funneled into this. So not my favorite way to do it. Val says I'm going to get blackballed from best ball for all those RBs. Just watch me stop, though. Watch me not draft another running back this entire draft. Will the Packers have the backfield this year? I don't know what you mean by that. Will they have the backfield? I think Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, I think both of those guys can have big years for sure. What? Yeah. Oh, the bye week bros. They're probably so mad that I took Jonathan Taylor and Kamara in week 14. I can picture it now. I'm sitting in second place heading into week 14 in my individual 12-man league. And then I get jumped because Kamara and JT don't do anything in week 14. It's going to be so sad. It's going to be very sad. All right. What are we going to do here as we gray out running back? Seems like the Jerry Jeudy stuff has chilled out. I know he has a court date end of May. He's going back. Let's see here. I am OTC. I don't necessarily. Do I like any of the tight ends? Not at this price. Do I want to take Kyler? Let's do. I really don't like Amari at this price. I'll grab Sutton for now. Let's see here. Who else do I want to take? I probably need another wide receiver with some firepower here. Let's go ahead and grab. We're going to grab Gabriel Davis. We'll grab Gabriel Davis, or you know what? I'm going to backtrack. I am going to grab Kyler. I definitely want to be able to go to quarterbacks with this hyper fragile build so I can use all of those late bullets to load up on wide receiver. I didn't have any really good viable week 17 stacks there with my Indy Giants in New Orleans. They play the Giants, the Colts, and the Eagles. So we're just going to stay cozy here with our elite quarterback. Greg, were you targeting Kyler? I'm sorry. You got rugged. Oh, you got rugged on Gabe the Babe. Yeah. Pete, Hardman or Juju? I mean, I like Juju, but he has jumped in ADP, right? I mean, I want to say when this first opened up, his ADP was what, mid 70s for the first few days. And now he's all the way up to mid 50s. So I don't know. But yeah, I have no problem taking stabs on Hardman. I think price adjusted, Hardman and Rojo are probably the best values in KC right now because even MVS is pretty pricey. I have to go out of my way to get MVS. I have, I think, the ETR ranks in here, and he never is at the top of the queue for me. Someone always grabs him before I get him. Yeah, Josh says just curious on not liking Amari Cooper there. Yeah, one of my my blind spots is always going to be these veteran wide receivers who are getting older, and Amari just was really not that good down the stretch last year. I think he'll be fine, but I just wonder how much meat is on the bone at that price tag where he's going. What pick did he go here? So he went at 5-1. I always like to use the thought experiment. Where do you think Amari Cooper will go in drafts next year? I feel like Amari Cooper is going to be cheaper next year than he is this year. Like, I have a really hard time of you telling me Amari Cooper is going to be a 3rd round pick next year. Maybe that's a bad take on my part, but I'm just having a hard time seeing Amari having a really smash season. I guess at this price tag, though, he has been going earlier, right? What's his ADP? He was at least slipping. So yeah, 43.6, and he went what? Pick 50. I could have taken Amari there. I probably should have grabbed an Amari share at a cheaper price tag. Oh yeah, I mean the Sky Steam, that the steam left the station a long time ago. Yeah, Nick says I don't think Cooper's price has fallen enough for the massive downgrade in situation. That's kind of how I feel on it. I guess if you said you were getting a full season from Deshaun Watson, maybe then it becomes a little more attractive, but I don't think we're getting that. Also, like you can get DPJ so cheap. Like if you're stacking up Watson and Njoku, he has a very palatable price. So Kareem Hunt is still pretty cheap in these drafts relative to where he's gone in previous years. So yeah, I just haven't been like going out of my way to set up Brown stacks with Amari. Their schedule isn't that nice either. They have 2 outdoor home games in Cleveland in the winter against Baltimore and New Orleans week 14, 15. Then they're on the road at Washington week 17. Just like a little bit messy. Yeah, I forgot about David Bell. David Bell has a really interesting, I would love to see the distributions on his ADP because I'll see him go, sometimes as early as like pick 115 or 120 in some drafts, and then he'll slide all the way to pick 160 or 165 in some other drafts. It's weird. I think you're making a leap assuming that Amari Cooper is for sure Watson's wide receiver 1. And I think you're making a leap assuming how many games Watson and Amari are going to play together. Chris says you don't see upside for Watson's wide receiver 1. All right, we are going to be back on the clock here. What do we got cooking? What do we have cooking here? I have 2 picks I would really like to take. Will the room allow me to take them? Hawkberg, please let me take. Okay, I get my 2 players. So I want to take Devonta Smith. The Eagles play the Saints in week 17. I use an early pick on Kamara. That works out well. And then I also, for this hyperfragile build, I have learned I am much higher on Hawkinson than most people. I'm very in on Hawkinson this year. And I like, one thing I should probably start doing, because I like Schultz a lot too, is I should probably start balancing Schultz and Hawkinson a little more. But I like being set up here to still be able to go with 2 QBs and 2 tight ends in this build. And so we will add TJ Hawkinson here. Just looking at my stacks that I'm starting to work with here. Updating my spreadsheet so I can keep track of my week 17 stuff. Why no D-Hop stack? Yeah, I could have done D-Hop. I prefer Devonta Smith to that, and I'm still getting correlation, and there's other backdoor Cardinal stuff that I don't mind. Guys, I'm telling you, if you're new around here, I do not like the olds. I do not like the olds. I have no problem with DeAndre Hopkins in this tournament, how it works with the week 17 stuff. But like I said, I am interested in Devonta Smith over DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm getting that week 17 mini correlation with Alvin Kamara. There's other ways for me to backdoor Kyler, and so I don't feel the need to force it there with Hopkins. But he certainly seems viable. I don't begrudge anyone for doing that. All right, what kind of other constructions are people working with here? Hawkberg did a little modified double anchor detour with Javonte Aaron Jones and then kept pissing yellow. Rob here with a true anchor. McCaffrey, a bunch of wide receivers. Debo going with a true zero RB build here, has yet to take a running back. A Furu here with what? Kind of like a modified Hyperfragile with Henry, Fournette, and Dobbins. Mr. Time Vault with a classic anchor with Eckler. Sam, I recognize Sam from the Deposit Kingdom Discord here, has Connor and Jacobs. Also got that Bateman stack. Brendan with he did the double elite bully tight end there. Andrews and Pitts. And an anchor there with Najee. King Co, who I wrongly assumed was Rob Coakley from Spike Week last week. My apologies, Rob. That is not you. It is your imposter. This is an interesting build. Diggs, Allen, Johnson, and then rips Akers, Hall, Gibson, then heads back to wide receiver. Jay Huda with 3 early RBs in round 5, but then hammering wide receivers. And then Efu there from the 12 slot gets that Kelsey Mahomes stack and grabs his first running back in round 5. Let's see. Yeah, Nick says I'm Schultz over Hawk, but have tried to keep it at least 60-40. So yeah, I can't argue. I can't make a strong case of why Hawk should definitely be going ahead of Schultz. I'm pretty in on Schultz too, but I do love Hawk. The Detroit playoff schedule is decent. They are home versus Chicago in that dome in week 17. And I'm just expecting a big leap for the Detroit offense this year. Jared Goff's also really easy to backdoor stack. He's available there at pick 180 or so most of the time. Yeah, I guess I don't get this take at all. I have no interest in Hawk at this price. The team situation has gotten better, and he's basically what? A round and a half, almost 2 rounds cheaper than what he was last year. Yeah, so I think things are trending in the right direction for Hawk. You're in a draft where Lamar went 104? Wow. That is spicy. Okay, here. So we are at pick 95. Who do I want to grab? I'm going to be grabbing 2 wide receivers. We are going to grab Kadarius Toney. We already have Saquon. We could maybe get a little Daniel Jones later if we wanted. And then is there anything else I want to do here? Looking at my schedule. I don't know if I want to. I'll probably just take Claypool. I'm in on Claypool here. Another one of those situations by about mid-June, I'm going to see that I have like 15% more Chase Claypool than Robert Woods, and then I'll begrudgingly start to sprinkle in some Robert Woods. But for now, we're going to keep taking. Oh no, where's bye week Twitter? Where's bye week Twitter to tell me they're worried about week 9 for me? Josh, I've been talking about the schedule the entire draft while I've been drafting. We got Jonathan Taylor versus my Kadarius Toney and Saquon Barkley in week 17. We have Kamara versus my Devonta Smith in week 17. I don't know if I have any others yet on this team. Thought Tony was on the block. Maybe in real life on my team, he's a big glue guy, big locker room guy for this team. Him and Saquon get breakfast every morning. Saquon gets the short stack of pancakes. Kadarius Toney's more of an Eggs Benedict guy. They do the New York Times crossword puzzles together. They like doing it earlier in the week because those are a little bit easier. They're busier later in the week, Saturdays, Sundays, and those are harder. That's the story I'm telling myself. Nick says, thesis on Claypool. We like the talent prospect, but Big Ben didn't have the arm to use him. There's a real chance that Pickett or Mitch could really favor him. New situation could be a nice spot. Yeah, Claypool is just kind of one of those classic bets on talent too. And certainly I like that thesis too of like, could it get, I mean, even if Pickett isn't special, could it be much worse than what Big Ben was last year? I mean, it feels like at worst a neutral switching quarterback, and maybe Pickett surprises. Maybe Pickett is just is good. And I know people have those narratives out there that Claypool isn't a Tomlin guy and Pickett is going to be more of the guy, or not Pickett. Pickens is going to be more of the guy that they gravitate to, yada, yada. I'm not in the business of trying to predict that stuff. Yes, chat, I saw you on the Rondell stack. I should have grabbed Rondale. I should have grabbed Rondale. The reason, this is the classic idiot streamer here. This was my thought process. Rondale is currently my highest owned guy. I think in my exposures, I'm at like 40% Rondale right now. And so I had this mental, I should probably ease off of Rondale, except when you pass on Hopkins and you draft Kyler Murray. So now we're going to be stuck taking fucking AJ Green. There you go. Enjoy the EV, bros. Excuse me? Excuse me, Governor? Oh yeah, no, well, you know, the there's going to be a divide this summer, best ball summer. You're either in team playoff schedule or you're a bye week bro. There's only two people in this world. Game 17 stackers and bye week bros. You need to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself which one of those you are. Will I do any DK content? No. Even if I wanted to, do they even have a draft board? I don't think they even have a draft board. I will not be doing DK content. Long live underdog. Brandon says, tough to be a bye week bro on DraftKings when they don't show them. I know. I can't think of a tougher spot to be in than an EV chasing bye week bro. DraftKings really leaves you between a rock and a hard place there. DraftKings put me in a lobby with 13 people. That's incredible. Yeah, and you still I am on the clock. I should probably pick here. Are we just going to super stack? Are we going to super stack the Giants? Might as well, right? Might as well super stack the Giants. Is there anything I want to do at tight end here? Not really. We'll add Galladay. And who else do I want to add here? Any tiebreakers I should be looking at? I guess I'll just take Jacoby. Take Jacoby unless there's anyone else I should really consider. We'll do Jacoby. Jacoby to me feels like he's like the equivalent in a Hyperfragile build as taking the pass catching running backs in 0 RB builds where they're not like the funnest, sexiest picks, but because you're going to need some of that floor production just because you're going for more quantity there, or the quality at the position is weak. So yeah, I'm generally not taking Jacoby where I go 0 RB and I have, 5 to 6 stud wide receivers. And it's like, when is Jacoby Myers score seeing my starting lineup? But in this one, where I didn't get my first running back or wide receiver until later in a Hyperfragile build, I feel better about Myers. Also sets me up now. I do have lots of stacking options. Obviously, Daniel Jones is preferred, but we have a Matt Jones out. We have a Jared Goff out. We have a Kenny Pickett out. So in good shape for our second quarterback here. Josh says, Pete, be honest, what's your Drew Lock exposure without Spags? 0%. 0%. Part of that is because I don't like Drew Lock, but another part of it is I have, and I need to actually correct this. I need to make sure I don't get funneled into this too much, but I have just been doing primarily 2 quarterback, 2 tight end builds. I guess I've started to sprinkle in some more 3 tight end builds. But I really do not like using 3 spots on quarterback. And I generally find the combo of quarterbacks where I feel comfortable rocking with just 2. I actually think over the weekend I did my first 3 QB one, where I kept missing out on stacks. I was targeting like a Lawrence and Fields, and they went right before me, and ended up getting forced into a 3 QB stack. So that's all to say, Drew Lock to me is a QB3 type, right? So if you're not doing 3 QB builds, you're not going to end up with, basically any Drew Lock. I think I ended up with Pickett as my QB3 in that 3 QB build. So I think he's fine in 3 QB builds, but whatever. Don't tell Spags I said that. Nick asks, when's the Swolecast returning? It's a good question, man. The Swolecast, we're a rudderless ship. Basically what happens, if you want to know how the sausage gets made, every week, probably maybe Monday, but most likely Tuesday, Davis will hop into our Slack channel and he'll at me and Kitchen and he'll say, show this week. And Kitchen will either say something like, maybe, but I have a meeting. I could do 1:30 on this random time. And then I have to go look in my calendar and see if that works for me. Or Kitchen just says bye week. And last week, Kitchen said bye week. So I have no idea what the ruling will be this week. Thank you, Josh. This was always the thesis of the play with Jacoby. Going to give me a nice 11 points in week 9 to cover your bye. JW says, one thing I found to be fairly comfy, especially this year, is punting tight end and making it up in the aggregate late with 4. So I have no problem with 3. 4 seems like a lot to use. What is that? Almost, 20% of your capital on a onesie position where we traditionally don't see spike weeks. That's personally not for me. And part of the reason why because the points added from the onesie positions is so less impactful than at running back, wide receiver, that I want as many bullets on those. And that's why I've been doing, like in a 0 RB build, I've been doing 2-7-7-2 builds. I get queasy thinking about using 4 spots on the lowest ceiling position in the way this format in tournaments constructed. All right, what are we going to be cooking up here at this 12-13 turn? Maybe we take a peek at tight end, at our tight end 2 here. Seems like a nice range. Let's see. I was going to take Chark. I do like Chark a lot. He was another guy I've just been hammering early and probably need to take my feet off the gas just a smidge. I do think this is a nice spot to grab a tight end. And what do we have here at wide? Okay, I was going to take Freiermuth. If he fell all the way to pick 144, that was a good scoop there. I will take Komet. Chicago plays Detroit week 17. We'll load up our tight ends in that week 17 game. And then what do we want to do here at wide receiver? Maybe we will. I don't think have I grabbed a rookie wide receiver yet? Let's go ahead and grab Pickens with Claypool. And then we can, again, we can go with Pickett. We can go with Daniel Jones. And we'll have a couple of options there, which I don't mind. Yeah. So I do think this is like an important conversation in general to have. Greg talking about 4 tight ends and high advance rates last year. I think we got to be very careful about overfitting very kind of specific advance rate data. Stuff that is either underutilized or doesn't have a huge population or might be very dependent on specific player outcomes in that. And that's what I was, trying to look at. I guess the point I'm trying to make is if you want to slice data, you can slice it any which way. Like you could get so granular and you could look at Liam's team and say, okay, teams that took double anchor running back and stacked their third wide receiver with their QB1 went on to win $1 million in Best Ball Mania. Like you can do that thought experiment. And so I think it's really important to let the advance rates and that data show us what's directionally accurate. And that's why I like looking at both BBM2 data in conjunction with Best Ball 10 data. That's what I worked on with Michael Dubner in my structure article. And we could see that those trends with Anchor, Zero RB, and Hyperfragile, those held up year over year. And people can define them somewhat differently. We defined Zero RB as not taking your first running back until after round 5. Maybe you define it slightly differently. But I would rather think about these structural strategies more directionally than in specifics. I think you can get tripped up overfitting very specific outcomes and then trying to extrapolate that to the next year. And I think my just overall thesis with stuff like 4 tight ends or handcuffing, like all of those have an element of robustness, of diminishing returns that I do not think is optimal for a 450,000 plus tournament. I do really think of it as you have 18 shots to basically hit the nuts, the perfect lineup. And if you're using multiple of those shots, those bullets on the same backfield, on the same position where you can only start one of them each week, maybe a flex if a tight end can squeeze in there. To me, that's just not optimal. And maybe I'm smooth braining it. Maybe there are these nooks and crannies of strategy and the way the 4 uncorrelated tournaments work that I'm not thinking through properly. That could be the case. But I do really think that macro thought in a tournament of this scale is drafting like we are right, and we need all 18 bullets to hit the nuts. And I want to be pushing the onesies to the extreme as far as possible. All right, what are we looking at here? So we are now at a 1-3-7-2 build. We have Kyler at quarterback. We have our 3 early running backs, JT, Kamara, and Barkley. We've started to build out our wide receivers, Sutton, Devonta Smith, Kadarius Toney, Chase Claypool, Kenny Golladay, Jacoby Myers, George Pickens. We're good at tight end here with Hawkinson and Komet. So we will just check out quarterback and wide receiver here. Trevor Lawrence falling here, pick 145, available all the way at pick 166. We'll see what Hawkberg does here. I am going to go ahead and lock up Daniel Jones with my double stack there. Thank God Daniel Jones and Kyler Murray don't have the same bye week. Thank the Lord. Who else should I add here? What other wide receiver should I add? Where's AJ Green? I should probably get. All right, yeah, we'll add AJ Green. You guys wanted me to draft a dusty wide receiver. There you go. Now the stack bros can't get mad at me. I added AJ Green to my Kyler Murray stack. Josh asked Pete, what kind of coffee should BBM3 thought leaders be indulging upon? We do in this house. We stand Pete's Coffee Dark Roast. That's my go-to. I've also, now that it's been getting warm, I have been getting some iced coffees at Starbucks as well. But this morning we have the Pete's Coffee Dark Roast within the Fantasy Football Counselor mug, the best podcast out there. Whenever you're reading bad analysis on Twitter, you're reading insufferable Twitter conversations, just remember to get the fluff out. Speaking of podcasts, I have been uploading the audio to these shows because I know some people like listening to it on the go. You don't get to see the beautiful draft board, me panicking and clicking as the clock times out, but you will get the audio version. That's the In a Vacuum podcast feed. In a vacuum became one of my go-to phrases when discussing DFS. I think, but what's my most overused phrase for best ball? I think I say texture a lot. I know on the ship chasing, I'll say in this specific room. I'll say that a lot. I need spin-off podcasts for all of my verbal crutches. What up, J Mike? Says, thanks for kicking off my Mondays with a W. It is a very nice week. Or a very nice way to kick off your Monday. Thesis. I definitely say thesis a good bit. I have not warned the rest of the draft room not to dupe me. I think Hancock bros need to start warning each other not to dupe them. The gal brain strategy that might not actually be that contrarian. Please don't dupe my Hancocking, bro. Optionality gets binge use. Yeah, I used to say optionality ironically because Pete Jennings, that was his go-to word. Pete Jennings would say optionality in basically every other sentence on the old Rest in Peace DFS Edge podcast. And then I started saying it ironically, and then I think I started saying it unironically. Wide receiver avalanche, that's definitely a good one. I say on ship chasing specifically a lot. The Smooth Brain podcast. I did say smooth brain twice today, I think. I need to mix it up and add in some middle IQs. Nobo says, I haven't looked into it too deep, but I imagine most 4 tight end builds were successful because of 1 or 2 of those tight ends hitting. Probably didn't need all 4. Drafting 4 just makes you more likely to hit one. And that would actually be the best way to understand if there was any signal to that advance rate, right? Whereas if you went and looked and see how many times was the tight end 3 and the tight end 4 actually sniffing the starting lineup, like to show that you had a strong case for it, I would want to see each of those weeks, each of those tight ends appearing in your starting lineup, 4 times, right? Where it's like, okay, because the thesis is you would be using those scores at different times. And I bet you're right. I bet they hit on a breakout. I'm guessing they had Mark Andrews, and a lot of the other tight ends were just along for the ride. Maybe not, though. Who are the other late round tight end league winners last year? All right, we are back on the clock here. What are we going to do? Do I have any other stacks I want to get? I really don't know if I want to super stack the we can add some Dallas. We can add a little Dallas. They are at home versus Philly in week 16. Trying to see any other stacks that I should be hitting on. Ooh, I would like to get an Indy. Did Alex Pierce already go? I assume he went, right? Yeah. I haven't been getting much of him. Indy plays the Giants in week 17. So let's go ahead and add a Paris Campbell here. Yeah. On that same wavelength. What's the deal with Paris Campbell? I feel like I like Paris Campbell more than other people, but he like when he's been healthy, he always looked pretty good. What is his health diagnosis? I should look this up. It's never a good sign when you Google a player and you go to the news section and all the titles are about other players and they're just getting referenced. Apparently no journalists in America are writing articles about Paris Campbell in May right now. Uh-oh, they're steaming Alec Pierce now. Man, yeah, he's going to be one I'm going to have to go out of my way to get. I thought about Wandale. That's such a good nickname, Wandale. I just don't know if I wanted to super stack. I think I know what I'm going to do with my last pick, though. I think I know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to be done at wide receiver. I think we're going to go ahead and add a running back. So we're at a 2-3-10-2 build right now. I feel like we covered ourselves pretty well as far as missing out on the high-end wide receiver firepower, which is, of course, the thesis of the play. If for some reason you guys haven't seen the video I put up on my other YouTube channel about structural strategy, specifically looking at anchor RB, hyperfragile, and zero RB, that's on my other YouTube channel, the Deposit Kingdom YouTube. I also have the link down below. That channel is for all of my non-live streams. Also released FF Guru Dynasty Pete's top 12 dynasty rankings. That went up earlier this week. Have another video coming out in the next couple days. And I'm in the process of working on another best ball strategy video with Michael Dubner right now. It's coming together well. This one is going to specifically be looking at, are we actually playing for first when we draft in this contest? And breaking down the expected value of the specific rounds of this tournament and specifically focusing on how we can optimize for week 17 when so much of the money and so much of the prize pool is going to the top 5 finishers in week 17. So I'm very excited about that video. Highly recommend getting subbed over there to the Deposit Kingdom YouTube channel for all of my non-live stream videos. Would very much appreciate that. Been having fun working on those videos. I am going to, let's see here. Where are, okay. Who took Eno Benjamin from me? Who took Eno in this room? Who would do such a thing? Eno Benjamin, Debo took Eno Benjamin from me at pick 17.5. You're sick, Debo. You're sick. But guess what? We have a backup plan. And this is actually perfect because I was actually having this debate with Spags on Splash Play, the Keontae Ingram versus Eno. I do prefer Eno, but these are the perfect situations here. I'm going to draft my 4th running back here. I'm going to tag my Cardinals, my week Cardinals stack that only has Kyler and AJ Green, and get another piece of this backfield here and finish with Keontae Ingram as my RB4. Let's see here. Go back to the draft here. So my final team here, Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones at quarterback. We did a hyperfragile build with Jonathan Taylor, Kamara, and Saquon Barkley with my first 3 picks. We did add on Keontae Ingram as my last pick. Our wide receivers, Sutton, Devonta Smith, Kadarius Toney, Chase Claypool, Kenny Golladay, Jacoby Myers, George Pickens, AJ Green, James Washington, Paris Campbell, a blend of team stacks and some week 17 stacks there. I took what I'm learning is a very controversial pick on TJ Hawkinson, and then Cole Kmet as well for a funky, fun 2-4-10 to build here. If I am going to critique myself, I definitely should have grabbed one of DeAndre Hopkins or Rondale Moore. I think it was fine to pass on one of those guys. It was definitely a mistake to pass on both of those. That's on me. That's my bad, guys. That's why there's so much EV in this tournament. I made a mistake, and all we can do is learn from it. All we can do is get better. And that's what I'm going to do. Jonathan saying Keontae so much better. I hope so. I hope so today. To be completely honest, I do think it's one of those situations where I personally don't want to have overconfidence in either one direction or the other. Like, gun to my head, I have overconfidence on Eno over him, which I shouldn't. And I do think splitting those guys with your specific Cardinal builds, or however your 0 RB builds where you're sprinkling those guys in, makes sense. I've definitely been scarred betting on young Cardinals running backs, hoping they would get a shot and never seeing the field. So that's why I'm a little gun shy on Keontae. But if the prospect bros say he's legit, I am happy to add him in. Let's see here. Yeah, Nick just said Ben and Sean just did a stealing bananas on the cards, and they were definitely Eno over Ingram. So look, there's good people on both sides. No, there's smart takes on both sides. So what will I do? I will simply draft both. Any other interesting stuff here with this draft? Checking out how some of these other teams finish. Rom here had an interesting draft from the 4-hole that did the anchor wide receiver build. Justin Jefferson then went Swift, Chubb, Zeke, Mitchell. That's too much for me. Too much tuna, too much running back. And like this is a perfect, and I apologize if I'm being hard on Ramdu. He didn't ask for the sauce, but this is kind of one of the things I was talking about in the structure video. And when we talk about Hyperfragile, of like, all right, first of all, you probably only want to do 3, max 4, but let's just say you do want to do your Swift, Chubb, Zeke, and Mitchell, because you just think this is it. Like, you absolutely have to stop at 4 running backs here. Jamal Williams is virtually never going to see your starting lineup if you are correct and hit on these 4. You know, Jamal Williams is the perfect kind of 0 RB guy with a high floor to add in. And this is where I think you just kill kind of your structural edge. And maybe this seems like a team that could have a high, who knows, maybe it could have a high advance rate out of this league just because they're going to get off to a fast start with 4 backs. But man, it's going to be very, very tough, especially with DeAndre Hopkins missing most of the season, to have enough wide receiver firepower, and then to not have this as an extra dart here. Been seeing more and more people do this double elite QB here. Debo takes Burrow and Hurts. Obviously, Burrow makes sense with the Chase Higgins start, and then did get the backdoor Hurts Goddard. I like that. Debo says CH is your RB1. Let's see how he rounded out his 0 RB. CEH, Melvin Gordon, Spiller, Carter, Gainwell, Eno. I like this running back room. Debo. For a 0 RB, I think that's pretty damn good there. CH, Spiller, Carter, Gainwell, Eno. Nice little blend of some pass catchers, some guys in timeshares on good offenses. I think it works. Waller, Goddard, nice tight end room. And I do like that you did go 8 wide receivers with this room, because despite going 0 RB, because you went double elite QB and double elite tight end, if we want to include Goddard there, your wide receivers feel a little weak for a true 0 RB build. I think it's tough, right? Because you grab Hurts, so you definitely want to get that stack there. I think ideally Goddard is a wide receiver, and then you push tight end a little further down the road. I don't know. I'm just thinking after Keenan Allen in a 0 RB build, to not be super strong at wide receiver is a little tough. Let's look at Hochberg. What did you have here? Stafford, Rodgers, Javonte, Aaron Jones, Singletary, Madison, James Robinson. Looks like a good running back room there. Did go the 3 tight end build. Man, I think Freiermuth might have been the steal of the draft. Freiermuth at pick 143. That was nice. Freiermuth, Higbee, Everett. I'd almost even be tempted to rock a 2 tight end build here. I think 3 is probably perfectly fine. I like pushing it at tight end, and then you get that extreme value on Freiermuth. I might have pushed it. But I like this team. You got your Cup, Higbee double stack with Stafford, with Rodgers. You did the deep backdoor stack there with Cobb and Dubs. I like that team. Do you consider Zeke at his current ADP a viable modified anchor RB approach? So again, Zeke is one of those classic blind spots. We were talking about him in the ship chasing Discord the other day. I think I do like the logic you're going with there. Do I like Zeke ... in a vacuum? No. But if you are drafting him and you want to play for that outcome where, hey, it's just the same old story. Pollard is in a bit role. Zeke's role is still lock solid. The Dallas offense is even better this year. He's getting, 12, 13 plus touchdowns. Yeah, I think you can rock an anchor running back build there. And I really like those kind of builds. There's not a lot of running backs that I think you can really do that with, where you can see the path to a top 5 running back season after, say, round 4 or 5. But I think you can do that, like if you want to do it with a David Montgomery or something as well. I like that. Yeah. I guess I'd probably prefer Zeke as like almost in a 0 RB build where you take him to start that. But I think it can work either way. All right, guys. I appreciate you. I need to go and check on our newsletter. I should mention the Fantasy Life newsletter. We've been doing all kinds of improvements to it lately. We're using a new email provider today. Lots of big changes on the horizon from that. I'm also very excited about some upcoming partnerships we have with the newsletter. So if for some reason you guys aren't subscribed to the Fantasy Life newsletter, I would recommend signing up for that, completely free in your inbox right now. Monday and Thursday mornings, we're going to be ramping that up. Jonathan, who is in the chat talking about Keontae Ingram earlier, he's helping out with the newsletter. He proofreads all of my my mistakes when I'm writing that up. I have the link down below. You guys can sign up for the Fantasy Life newsletter. Like I said, I will be back today at 2:30 p.m. Eastern for Splash Play with Chris Spags. I will have a new video on the Deposit Kingdom YouTube channel probably tomorrow. Yada, yada, yada. Have a great start to your week. Enjoy hand-cucking. Enjoy drafting 4 tight ends. Enjoy battling the bye week bros. We'll see you guys next time.